Hello, everybody. We back in the seat again on this Monday morning. Of course, this is the Petty Politic, and you guys see the moniker on. You see the thumbnail, right? And this is about the Voting Rights Act, of course, of them taking away the Voting Right Act. This is how the system looks when they don't take your rights away. It just makes them meaningless, right? They don't have to stop you from voting. You're not stopped from voting. They just build it so your vote can't change the outcome. But we finna get into it. See, we always get confused about these kind of things, right? This ain't just about the maps. This ain't just about the politics. This is about the power and who still has it when everything is said and done, right? Now, behind the voting rights case, clash over the reality of racism, okay? Because people keep falling back into the idea like we're living in some post-racial country, like race doesn't matter anymore, like discrimination just disappeared, like everything is equal now and we're all on the same playing field. That ain't the reality. Racism didn't vanish. It just evolved. It got quieter. It got more polished. It moved from being loud and obnoxious and obvious to being built into systems, systematic racism, as we say, where people can say, well, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean to discriminate against you. I wasn't meaning to do that. Now, the Supreme Court ruling said there must be proof that a racial group was intentionally disadvantaged. The dissent called it well nigh impossible. Okay? Well nigh impossible. In 1965, the year Congress passed the Voting Rights Act, it did not take much detective work to discover how some of the South's most powerful white politicians felt about their black neighbors. Senator James Eastland, a Democrat from Mississippi who wanted to kill the landmark legislation, once openly stated that black people were an inferior race. During his 1963 inauguration speech, George C. Wallace of Alabama, a Democrat, infamously declared segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. These days, such racism, at least when directed at black people, is rarely openly expressed by white Southern politicians. Okay? But we're seeing a lot of that play out right now. That's the whole point of the Voting Rights Act. That was the whole point of the Voting Rights Act. That's why it existed in the first place, because the problem was never just about whether somebody could walk into a voting booth. The problem was whether the system around that vote was fair. That's where Section 2 comes in. That's the part that was supposed to protect against voter dilution, meaning you can vote, but if the system is set up in a way where your community can't actually elect who they want, then something is wrong and it's off. And what's been happening over time is this. These protections ain't gone. They're not gone, but they've been harder to use, harder to prove, and harder to enforce. Now what happens? Now we're getting the maps redrawn. Then people argue about fairness later. Already, after the lines are already in place, they want to argue. After the elections are already underway. Look at what Louisiana is doing now. Louisiana, in the history of the United States, canceled their election so that they can redraw their maps and get rid of the Black and Hispanic districts. That's what Louisiana canceled. They canceled their election. Go look it up. I ain't lying. They canceled their elections so that they can redraw their maps, so they can draw out or take away the Black and Hispanic voters, disenfranchise those Black and Hispanic voters. And people keep saying it's not disenfranchised. Yes, you're diluting the vote. You're making it so that they can't vote who they want to vote into who represents them. So all of this is going on, all these redrawing districts. Donald Trump is the one who started this. Called up Texas and said, hey, y'all need to redraw y'all map so we can get 4 seats. And when Texas did it, California countered it. No, you're not finna do that to us. You're not finna do that to us. Okay? So this is where this redrawing the map stuff started at. Redrawing the map illegally started at. Okay? Never in the history of this country have we had a president call up a state and say, redraw your map so we can get rid of black and brown communities. But this president did that. And now they potentially can draw on 20 more states than the Democrats if they get bogus enough. I'm saying pity to the 2028 elections. This is why it's a call for people, black and brown people, to come out and vote. We got to vote in big numbers. These redrawn districts are splitting the community, shifting the lines, breaking up groups that used to have a stronger collective voice.
People are really confused about this voting rights decision. I'm hearing people go, oh, this is wonderful. Now we can finally get back to being colorblind. The best way to stop racial discrimination is to stop discriminating by race, which sounds really, really smart, except it's really, really dumb. The Voting Rights Act is Dr. King's act. It's Dr. King's law. Nobody more committed to a colorblind society than Dr. King. So then why was he fighting for this law in particular? Because Dr. King wanted society to be colorblind. He wanted society to be blind to race, but he didn't want the government to be blind to racism. He didn't want the government to continue being blind to the fact that there are people who don't want a colorblind society and who are doing all kinds of shenanigans, especially in the southern states, to discriminate against black voters, to weaken the black vote, to do things that were horrible to black people. And the government was doing nothing about it. So yes, we want a colorblind society. We want a society where people don't treat each other badly because of race. But being blind to race as a society doesn't mean the government should be blind to racism when it's happening. And because of this ruling, it will be impossible to prove in court. What everybody knows is that there's still shenanigans going on in these southern states to hurt black voters, and that is wrong. And now we have one less tool to do anything about it. That does not make America better, it makes America worse.
The Supreme Court just gutted what was left of the Voting Rights Act, and within hours, the Lieutenant Governor of Alabama, Will Ainsworth, shared this on social media. A map of Alabama with 7 solid Republican, majority white congressional districts, and 0 of any other kind. Because of course he did. To understand how bad this is, you have to know a little about the history of my home state. And I mean 70 million years worth back to the Cretaceous period. The southern coastline of America used to be significantly north of where it is today, and the sea life that died there created a beltline of chalk deposits across the state. That chalk trapped nutrients above it and made the soil rich for growing cotton. This is where plantations sprung up. This is where slavery hit high gear. We call it the Black Belt for the color of the dirt, but it works for race too. Today, these are the majority black or near majority black counties, and nearly all that go to that other party. Alabama has never been kind to this region. And now, overlay one map on the other. Oh, would you look at that? This map Ainsworth shared divides the Black Belt among 5 majority white congressional districts. His map takes black representation in Congress from 2 districts to 0. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. When the Supreme Court cleared the way for voter ID in Alabama, the state tried to close driver's license offices in majority black counties. And just 3 years ago, this same Supreme Court ordered Alabama to draw a second district where black people might stand a chance of being on the winning side because even they could see the Alabama legislature was being racist. That case is still alive today and probably ensures Alabama's current map stays locked in place until 2030. But then you can thank Will Ainsworth for showing us what happens when that protection's gone.
So according to the right, their talking points right now with regards to the Supreme Court ruling, the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, is that we are post-racial. We don't need any of that nonsense anymore. Civil rights, this isn't the 60s. All of that stuff was so long ago. Come on, it's mostly equal. Just a few things are a problem, but it's not a problem anymore. We're post-racial. Let's get into that. First of all, hi, my name is Jody. I'm a storyteller here on TikTok. I share stories and observations. And if you like my stories or observations, please go ahead and push the magic button and leave me a follow. Thank you. All right, so I find it is the best to talk about a situation when you take yourself out of it and look at it from a different perspective. So that's what I'm going to do today. So imagine for just a second, there's this husband and wife. They've been married for 20 years. And for 20 years, he's been beating the shit out of her almost every day. Doesn't kill her, just beats the shit out of her. Neighbors don't really notice it. Some do, some don't. One day he decides to get therapy, the husband, and he talks to a therapist. He tells his wife he's going to work on himself. So he only beats the shit out of her from time to time. It's still chaotic, but he's a lot nicer than he used to be. In fact, the neighbors don't notice as much as what they did notice, and things seem to be okay, but he's still beating the shit out of her. Well, one day, police are going door to door doing a campaign about domestic violence, and they say to the husband, "Have you ever had any issues with domestic violence?" And the husband says, "Oh, no. We're so over that. We're past that. Maybe a long time ago. We're done. We're post-DV." And that's it. That's what you do when you say to Black people and white people, and you go straight to white people and say, "Are we post-racial?" It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they think that when I, the DV person, am still getting the crap kicked out of me. Not as much, not as bad, but still really bad. That's what it's like to be a Black person in America today. Is it nooses and slavery? No. But it still exists. The systems are still in place, and it still has a problem, a blight on this country. And somehow people think, well, you had a Black president, you're sitting there, you have a job, you sound articulate, thank you very much. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But you don't ask the oppressor, you ask the oppressed. You don't ask the domestic violence oppressor, you ask the person who's been beat up all those years. So don't tell me we're post-racial. That's real convenient. Now, let me be clear. Again, do I think that all white people are racist? Because somehow, no matter what you say in this country, it's, well, she said that all white people are racist. Never said it. Don't think it. So don't come for me about that. You can disagree, but don't come for me about that. So in conclusion, are we post-racial? No. And the fact that somebody's trying to push that proves even more that we are not. Let me know what you think in the comments.
So, so now we end up here, right? Yeah, I can vote. Nobody's stopping me from walking in and casting a vote. Nobody. But if my community has been divided up in ways where it no longer has the numbers to elect who it chooses, then let's be honest about what that means. That means the system already shaped the outcome before I even showed up. That means my vote exists, but my influence is weaker. And people can argue definitions all day. Well, that's not disenfranchisement. Call it whatever you want. But on the ground, it looks like this. I show up, I vote, I participate, and the structure around me makes sure my vote don't land the same as somebody else. And this is where the post-racial thinking becomes very dangerous, because if you pretend that race no longer plays a role in our society, then you stop protecting against the ways it actually still shows up. Just less obvious, because now it ain't signs on the door. It ain't colored water fountains. It's lines on a map. Now, if it ain't somebody telling you can't vote, it's a system making sure your vote doesn't carry the same weight. And this is hitting Black communities, Hispanic community. Anybody whose power comes from being able to come together in numbers can be weakened when those numbers get split apart. That's wild. Hold on. Go back.
People need to understand how gutting the Voting Rights Act impacts you, not just black people. Back in 1965, the Voting Rights Act was created to stop racial discrimination in voting. This is where folks get lost. The fuck am I? They don't take your ballot away, they just redraw the maps. Every 10 years, the states redraw their congressional districts. They decide which neighborhoods go into which districts, and that decides who your representative is. So, if black people make up 40% of a state, then they should have 40% of the influence. First one is called packing, and the other one is called cracking. You can look that shit up on your own time, because I'm here to talk to the Caucasians. And yes, that includes Indians, Mexicans, and Asians, because I know a lot of y'all voted for DT too, and because you have a little bit of an easier time indoctrinating yourself into whiteness. Don't believe me? Have you ever been called an Oreo? So this is why I say it matters to white people, because this administration is trying to treat everybody like black people. Remember Alex Preddy and Renee Good, the two white people that got killed in Minnesota and the whole country went ballistic? You really think that was the only people that got killed by ICE? No. Here's a list of minorities that also got killed that you probably never heard about. Now what you've seen from Renee Good and Alex Preddy is the type of treatment that black folks have been going through forever. Now white folks, I want you to listen very, very clearly. Your racism doesn't necessarily come from using the N-word. It comes from your silence. It comes from your lack of acknowledgement of honoring and respecting the history of what this place has gone through and how it has treated certain groups of people. And that lack of acknowledgement is the America propaganda system speaking through you. How many of you thought racism ended in 1865 when slavery was over? There are even black people who believe that. So they grow up in segregated societies, learning about people who don't look like us strictly through media influences. And you know what? We're pretty much brainwashed to believe that anyone who has darker pigmentation, their life just isn't as valued. Now, this administration knows they're probably not going to win, because they're not very popular, and they're going to do everything in their power to maintain in power, which is why when midterms come around, they're going to try to make sure our vote don't really matter. And I believe white folks are starting to wake up and can make a huge impact in this next election. So if you don't want to vote on behalf of protecting black people, then vote on behalf of protecting yourself. Because if you don't, we're all going to live in an economic totalitarian surveillance state, which is a lot like the ghetto.
I'm so fucking tired of white men cosplaying the apocalypse. The only fucking reason why we needed the goddamn Voting Rights Act in the first place is because of white men. That video got mass reported and demonetized. And I usually don't bring this up because who gives a shit. But this one is really getting to me because I didn't want to fucking make that video. Of all the videos that I made this week, I didn't want to make that video. That's not the one that I wanted to go viral because I am tired of always having to be screaming and yelling and almost on the verge of tears, veins popping, in order for people to fucking care. Like, I'm tired of having to put on a fucking... I have to be crashing the fuck out in order for the social media to push these fucking videos. And then, unfortunately, they get pushed to the most sensitive people on the fucking planet who mass report the videos. I want to talk about comic books and music. I hate this.
Big win. Supreme Court just shut down race-based maps. Finally. No more racism. What do you mean? If you don't use race, it's not racism. Duh. Then why did we need the Voting Rights Act of 1965? That was the past. It was a different time. Problems don't just magically go away. That law worked because it gave people a tool to challenge unfair maps. Like I said, it was a different time. We don't have those problems anymore. The problems still exist today. It's just more subtle. Now we've removed another protection when others have already been weakened. You're just mad you can't use race anymore. This system is way fairer. Fair for who? The people. If race isn't being used, what's the issue? People don't benefit from this. Politicians do, because they don't need to say race. They already know how people vote. Yeah, it's called strategy. And that strategy can split communities so that their vote doesn't carry as much weight. I mean, just look what happened after the ruling. What? Louisiana declared a state of emergency to delay their primaries so that they can redraw maps. That's just time. No, that's power asserting itself. You act like this is new. Look what just happened with California and Virginia. Yeah, those states are not the same. How's that? California and Virginia put it up to voters. That's still redistricting, right? But one uses a democratic process. The other one allows politicians to draw their own lines. Same outcome. with very different incentives. Okay, look, this SCOTUS ruling makes those maps harder to challenge. So you're mad we made it more efficient? Yes, more efficient for the people who abuse drawing those lines based on race. You can't prove that, and that's the point. Once you make something harder to prove, you make it easier to get away with.
Listen, y'all didn't.
So yeah, you can say the rights are still there, but even though they gutted this act, you can even say everything is fair on paper. But if the system is being shaped in a way that reduces how much those rights actually matter, then something fundamentally is very, very wrong. And once you see that, you can't unsee that. And you don't look at it the same way ever again. And I'm gonna play this last video of this guy, right? And I appreciate you guys coming out. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. But let's listen to this video going out the door, because I thought it was very profound and apropos. Very, very apropos. Listen.
Hear what he just said. So black people have only been full humans in this country on paper from about 1968 to now. This tiny window of time, black people have been seen by the law as full humans. And now that's getting rolled back every single day. But if you wonder, like, why can't black people get it together? Why aren't black neighborhoods better? Blah, 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 blah. We just got free. And to bring it home, I always use my family tree. My father's been able to trace his side of the family back to the early 1800s, 1820s, where Ben Plummer was enslaved in North Carolina. Ben Plummer had parents, so I know that my family's been here since the late 1700s, early 1800s, longer than most white people's families in America. I, born in 1975, so from the late 1700s to my birth, I'm the first person in my entire family tree born with full human rights. First generation. Been here since the 1700s. I'm the first generation of plumbers born with full rights. And so what I tell my students is, the fact that you even exist today makes you amazing. Black people should have been extinct, giving the hundreds of years of slavery, then 100 years of Jim Crow and racial violence. We shouldn't even exist on the planet. But not only do we exist, we thrive. We create the culture and trend that shapes the world. People follow us. People use us as the arbiter of what's good and what's bad, what's cool and what's not. They take our food, they take our style, they take our language. Still don't really want us, but we're still here. And that's the thing that I want students to get. Y'all didn't just hear.
So with that in mind, I wasn't born with full human rights. Let that sink in. I, speaking to you now, was not born with full human rights, because I was born before 1968. That's wild to me, that I was not considered a full human being until these voting right acts came into full play. And I was forced to be considered a human being at that time, legally. And people think it's okay to get rid of all of that. We're even now. We're post-racial now. I'm just trying to figure out, when is this going to sink in for black and brown people? This is what it is for us black and brown people. This was a roll back to where we're not equal. And this is where this administration wants to take us. Back to when we're not equal. This is how they get rid of black people Instead of the immigration stuff, they're getting rid of the Hispanic people, immigration, blah, blah, all kinds of foreigners. That's how they get rid of them. How they get rid of black people is roll back these civil rights acts. This is how they do that. So if you like the comments and you like my commentary, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And leave some comment in the comment section if you have any kind of comment about this commentary today. And I appreciate you guys. I do. And I'll see you in the next video.